TellyCast.
Hi, I'm Justin Crosby, and welcome to this week's TellyCast. This week, we're heading back to South by Southwest in Austin, where I sat down with some of the most innovative businesses at the cutting edge of content creation. First up on this week's show, we have Overplay, a company aiming to revolutionise the $574 billion digital media landscape with the first frictionless platform for user-generated games, where everyone can turn their videos into games in minutes. They were just featured on Shark Tank in the US, so listen in to see how they did. Then we have Alex Wills, Chief Experience Officer at Disguise, the industry-leading platform leading the way in new immersive visual experiences. We welcome Ed Lindemann, Head of Entertainment for the UK from TikTok, back to the show to find out what they were up to at South by Southwest. And finally, KJ Kim, CEO of MetaK, a company focused on creating the next step in AI-powered virtual influencers, 3D virtual artists who can act, dance, sing, and interact with fans. It's all coming up on this week's TellyCast. So the latest of the amazing AI-powered tech innovations that are found here at South by Southwest is one called Overplay. And here to tell me more about that is Caroline Strzalka. Welcome to TellyCast, Caroline. How are
Justin.
you?
Great. I'm great. How are you?
I'm really well, really well. I'm really excited to talk about Overplay.
Thanks.
Because it's a really interesting new development that is bringing content and gaming together in a way that I haven't seen before. So tell us about Overplay.
Yeah, Overplay is truly bringing interactive content and gaming together and video, actually. So imagine gaming plus video together. Anyone can now make their own videos into games in minutes with no code. And it's truly innovative. And we have the patents on all of this too, which is really kind of cool. But yeah, the way that an Overplay works is that you could film anything. It could be you're throwing a Frisbee to your dog and you want to make that into a swiping and a tapping game. So when you want to, you throw the Frisbee, that turns into a swipe. Your dog catches the Frisbee, that's a tap. And you're literally inputting that into, you have your video already on Overplay, and you're literally putting those inputs in and you're publishing it out into the world. You all have made a game. And so you could kind of think of Overplay, the kind of games that you make with Overplay are like rhythm-based games. So it's almost like playing Dance Dance Revolution or Guitar Hero, where you're trying to match the action that you see on the screen with your input, and you're getting points for how accurately you're playing. But now it's like anything could truly be made a game.
Yeah.
Any YouTube video, anything that you put on TikTok, commercials could be made into games, movie trailers.
So any type of video, but presumably the best kind of videos are videos that feature more movement. Like we might see somebody with a headset going down a mountain bike trail or somebody, doing parkour, or whatever it might be. But what's really fascinating about this is that it's tapping into the aspect of doing different things when you're watching videos, which so many people do on their handsets. So gamifying and also listening or engaging with the content. And it's also providing another opportunity for content creators to monetize their content, which is perhaps the really interesting aspect of this. Tell us how that works then. So I'm a content creator. Yeah. I've got a short form video. Is there a minimum length of video that it needs to be?
So we call this snackable content, right? So we're not competing with the 60-hour gameplay video game AAA titles. We kind of see ourselves as being the next step up for social media, right? So snackable content, our sweet spot is really 30 to 45 seconds. However, we found with certain creators where there's some really great storytelling that it could be like a 4-minute piece that it just feels like, it's continuous interactivity. We've had one content creator where we actually took a piece of their content and gamified a whole 4-minute piece that was just absolutely spectacular. So but snackable content, and the way that it would work is basically, you could dip into a portfolio of content that you might already have as a creator. So maybe it's something that you created 2 years ago, but now you're like, that would make a really great game. Or it could be something new where you're like, you know what? I want to make something brand new, film it in a new way, maybe rather than a POV basketball kind of game, which is normally what I film. Maybe I'm going to film it from over the shoulder because that would make an even better game, you know? And so I think that Overplay just being thought of now as like, now you can make any of your video interactive. You might want to think of filming in a new way to make it even more engaging. But what we've really found with Overplay is that people will play this piece of content again and again and again. They'll play Overplays again and again and again, actually play it like 3, 4, 5 times in a row, all the way through because they're trying to master the game. And so rather than somebody just watching maybe one of your YouTubes only once, now maybe they'll watch it 5 times and interact with it. So Overplays are so much more, your content is worth more. And we believe that that'll translate into dollars and cents easily once we start monetizing. We're not monetizing yet. We're bringing on pilots, people who want to try making content with us in the beginning. We have like really great games. I think we've made over 1,000 games. And you just you download Overplay, you just like TikTok, you flip through, you're able to play games that other people have made, other brands have made. And yes, snackable content is really our sweet spot right now, but who's to say I couldn't serve longer form content as well? Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so we're talking about content monetization, which is obviously really attractive to content creators.
Yeah.
How does that work then?
Yeah. So when we do start monetizing later this year, as you kind of flip through games, there will be interspersed ads, but those ads will also be games. So it'll feel like a seamless experience. We right now actually on Overplay, if you download the app, you'll see that we actually did gamify a Pepsi commercial, Pepsi Bad Bunny commercial. We've shown this to Pepsi. We've shown this also to Bad Bunny's reps, so they know it exists. But what we wanted to show is that a commercial just taken right from what they posted on YouTube could actually made into a game. And also the rewards could be given, I think that the call to action at the end of that was, open a bottle of Pepsi and get the free Bad Bunny download from Apple Music, right? But you had to open a cap of Pepsi, go into their website, get that free download. Imagine that could all happen directly through the Overplay app. So it's a seamless experience. And it's also just a good that, people would want to play again and again and want to share with their friends. So we think that adding the interactivity to content is really a game changer for content creators, for brands, for advertisers. We could not be more excited about what Overplay is going to produce. Yeah.
And you've basically got to a certain stage of crowdfunding, haven't you? Tell us about, well, first of all, tell us about the genesis of Overplay, where because there's a connection with Sesame Street, isn't it?
It's a little bit different. My co-founder, Dan Perjansky, and I met at Sesame Street. He ran interactive production and I ran digital media business development. So for a number of years, we were making all sorts of really cool interactive stuff for kids, AR and VR games, console games, all the deals with the streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, getting Sesame content to the next level, reaching kids in a new way. And everybody wants to work with Sesame Street. I mean, it's just who doesn't want to work with Elmo? Truly, Elmo Cookie Monster.
Larry David.
Yeah. Oh, well, Larry David, right. But normally everyone loves Elmo. So, but yeah, Dan and I met there but we were kind of consummate entrepreneurs. We were always building something on the side, not together, but Dan actually originally did come up with the idea for Overplay by watching POV mountain biking videos on YouTube, where he felt like he was driving along with or steering along with the mountain biker. And he's like, oh, I wonder if I can make this video into a game. And he came up with a way to do it. And then he's like, but the cooler thing would be is if that mountain biker could make his own video into a game. And Dan came up with a way for them to do that. And that's what this whole patent and everything is about. And so I knew Dan was working on this. He actually called me up during COVID and he said, hey, the MVP is built, patent is done. Let's get to it. And so, we raised our first round of funding in 2021. And that was mostly angels and some funds and some friends and family money. And then we raised our second round of funding last year, $3 million. I call it a pre-seed 2 round. Half of it came from institutional and half of it came through our WeFunder. And then just 2 days ago, we launched our new WeFunder. We're raising a $5 million round and we're also raising institutional at the same time. But yeah, we got a brand new patent just came in a couple of weeks ago. We are about to announce some partnerships and pilots, which we're like super, super excited about. And yeah, we're here at South by because we were finalists for the Innovations Awards for social media. So we had a booth. Mark Cuban did come by to our booth. And we also were on Shark Tank. So
yeah, that's right. Well, I wanted to ask you about Shark Tank, which broadcast in the States a few weeks ago. Tell us how that went.
It was awesome. It was like one of the best experiences of my life. And not just for our company, but it was truly, it's been on for 15 seasons. Everybody at the show, I know that they don't get enough credit, but people have worked at Shark Tank for 15 years because it's such a great show to be, to be producing, to the writers, the editors. They're really caring for each other, but also for the entrepreneurs. They're very pro-entrepreneur. Like they want you to have a great experience. They want you to feel cared for. And it was just amazing. And we were actually contacted by Shark Tank. We never actually applied. So they somehow found us. I think they may have found us through the WeFunder, which is really great. So if anybody's thinking about equity crowdfunding, there's other benefits about you getting out there that you might not even think about. So it's more than money. But yeah, they found us. And yeah, we worked together with them all summer to put a great kind of pitch together for the Sharks. And we did something very innovative on the show. We had the Sharks, of course, Mark Cuban and Mr. Wonderful playing against each other, 5 mini games that we actually made from each of the Sharks' social media. And it's hilarious. I think it's unlike something that's ever been on the show before. And of course, Mark did come on as an investor and an advisor to Overplay, and he's been just phenomenal, very supportive. I email him. He gets back to me within 1 minute. I have no idea how he does it, considering he has something like he's invested in over 400 companies or something. So I feel it's great having him. And he has a whole team behind him who helps us out with
really
various aspects. Yeah.
So what's next then? So just to go very briefly back and recap how you actually use Overplay. So I've got a video on TikTok, or it could be on YouTube Shorts, or I upload that content onto the Overplay website, essentially. That generates a link, and then you can share that link basically with your social network.
Yeah, right. So the way that you actually, so you upload your video onto Overplay, you add the gaming layer through our platform. So you are actually inputting it in. Our AI technology that we're incorporating will also feed up to you animations, sound effects, music, eventually also backgrounds that you could change. So if you have a video of your friend shooting hoops, rather than shooting hoops just in your local court, they could be shooting hoops in space. So to change the background, that's eventually where we're headed with Overplay. Incorporating these AI components so that way Overplay's AI can serve as a creative assistant to you making the games. So it's not like we're going to hand it over to the machine to make the game. No, we actually think that human component of being creative and also creating content that's relevant to your audience is like, that's what you know best. You know your audience best. So we want you to think about the inputs, to think about the animation, sound effects, all that other stuff. But AI is going to help you out as a person who's never made games before to actually make a effing awesome game. And I mean, that's what we're trying to get to, like where everyone can feel like they're a game maker now. They really feel empowered to make games and feel really proud of the content that is coming out. Like they're pushing this out into the world. Like I had never made games prior to making an Overplay. Like it's kind of cool that me, who is not an engineer, who knows nothing about coding, can now make an Overplay. Yeah.
And this is in the public realm. Is it actually? We can all go to Overplay and we can go and have a check of that out and start monetizing it right now.
We're going to turn on monetization in the second half of this year. So we're kind of putting all those hooks into place. But yeah, we're going to be monetizing through Overplay, through our own platform, but we're also eventually wrapping up the tech into an API that then could be inserted onto other apps and websites. And so we're aiming for all that to happen by the end of this year. Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah. Well, Caroline, thank you so much for coming on TellyCast. It's been really fascinating. It's one of my favorite new AI-driven tech innovations that I've seen at South by Southwest.
Thanks for having us.
All the best and congratulations on your success
Thanks
on
so
Shark
much.
Tank.
More to come.
Thank you. So my next guest on this week's show is Alex Wills, Chief Experience Officer at Disguise. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks.
How's Austin, Texas and South by Southwest going for you?
Great, it's really good. It's the first year Disguise has been at South by Southwest, and we've brought a virtual production studio here and an immersive studio, and we've been running, a couple of days now, panels, discussion, demos, and amazing activations. So it's been a great time so far around UK House and meeting lots of fantastic people and getting to enjoy a bit of Austin.
And lots of Americans hopefully coming into UK House, which is where you're based, obviously, and hoping to win lots of new American clients.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a big, presence over here already, but we're really sort of trying to attract, more sort of partners who are, going to understand our technology and leverage it for things. We are sort of this backbone infrastructure for so many amazing shows and productions. But one thing we're really sort of aiming to do is become, more known sort of in the marketplace for what we do. We sort of, if you go to a gig or a show, it's likely that if it's a tier one performer like Beyonce or Taylor Swift, it's running on our kit, but we want more people to know about it. So another reason for being here is just to sort of raise that up, get Disguise a bit more known amongst those people and sort of understand what the technology can enable for amazing creativity.
Yeah. So one of the things that's been discussed on TellyCast so far this year, we spoke to a couple of UK TV producers who are looking at, how they can overcome the difficulties in the TV industry right now, i.e. the lack of commissioning and the lack of opportunities. But a couple of them have actually talked about experiential being something that they're really taking seriously this year and really starting to lean into. So before we talk about that and the opportunities there might be for TV producers in this area, just explain a little bit about Disguise then. And you talked about, mega shows around the world running on your kit. But tell us about what Disguise is and what we mean by an immersive experience.
Yeah, sure. So Disguise, we create the best term is a visual entertainment or visual experience platform, and that's hardware and software. And traditionally, we came out of live events, live music events. So 20 years ago, we were doing massive concerts for U2 and Massive Attack and those types. And it was these shows where you're having real sort of, visual material being shown, sometimes data driven on big screens. And our software enabled this creativity to be put up on these big panels. And the hardware was the sort of media servers, the compute to be able to sort of run it in real time and to deliver these shows. And over the years, it's just become more and more demand has become more sort of, people want to push it even more to create incredible shows. We also sort of harness projections and projection mapping. So Queen's Jubilee events, things like that. When you're projection mapping on, Buckingham Palace, our partners are using our technology, our hardware and software, and the software stitches together seamlessly all the projectors or all the visual material to create this kind of single wonderful canvas. And that's the sort of the power of the platform. And over the years, what happened, especially pivoting around COVID time, was that these LED walls, they're being hung in stages for initially just iMag performance were now possible with sort of camera movement to track what's on the screen with what the camera is doing. And that became the basis of virtual production, made famous by Mandalorian. But really it's a giant LED volume. It's a series of screens, series of tiles, stacked together. And then it's the virtualization of that camera. So the camera gets virtualized, and through our software, you create a digital twin of that environment. So when you move the camera, the background moves, and you create this perfect sort of, parallax effect that it looks like you're in that world. So gone are the sort of need for green screen. And that's kind of one of the big things it's replaced. And the good thing for that, for talent and creativity, is what you're looking at. So from a creative point of view, it's great. It's really beneficial. But also from a technical point of view, even though rotoscoping and all of those technologies has got very good, you still have the sort of the green car, especially if you're on sort of shiny, helmets or things like that. Hence why the Mandalorian was such a good candidate. So you suddenly got all the real reflections. And so it's really interesting for sort of TV drama and broadcast where, you'd go out and you'd sort of do driving and you'd probably put it on a low loader or something like that. Now, what's happening is people do the wide and they'll bring in a series of plates and they'll put it in the volume, and then you've just got perfect sort of flexibility. You don't have to go on a low loader, don't have to close any roads. So it's really, really great for that. And so we're operating across those verticals. And the last big one is these amazing immersive experiences. So same projection technology or LED is being used to create these immersive experiences where you walk in and you have agency and you get to explore, whether it was the recent BBC Earth in London or the current Lightroom exhibition where you're in this huge space and you're in an immersive experience or documentary. So they're the kind of 4 areas that Disguise operates on.
So, I mean, I'm really interested in all of those. And just before we go into the TV aspect and drama and big, those sort of productions, has this sector of the industry grown with the change in the music industry, as in, going to a concert now is, a £200 ticket often in many shows. And that's obviously one of the things that's funding these productions. But, the way that we consume music has completely changed, and, no more record CD sales or streaming. A lot of artists getting a lot less money from the actual sales of their songs, but actually going out and really making money touring. Has that driven this side of the industry? Have you seen a notable difference?
Yeah, it's really interesting. You can almost plot it, and there's been certain artists that have really pushed it. I mean, U2 being one of them. They've done these, incredible spectaculars, most recently at the Sphere, where, they really sort of push things to the limit on the biggest kind of canvas in the world. And so, yeah, we've seen this kind of gradual, certainly for certain artists, for certain artists, it's not what they want to be doing, but the bigger stadium spectaculars, people have just been pushing and pushing to do newer things. And so it's a bit of that kind of nice dance with like, well, I think there's always a desire to do something fresh and new, There's amazing, creatives like Es Devlin, who has been doing shows and doing the creation of these amazing shows for the likes of Beyonce and Kanye West and Jay-Z over the years. And brings amazing stage design, but often, she understands our platform quite well and knows that can create a cube with multiple projections on or moving sort of staging that can sort of be tracked in projection or LED. So it is this lovely kind of, symbiosis between the creativity and the technology kind of pushing itself. But I think you're right. I think, audience expectation now is, people want to create that iPhone moment. It's something that, as Devlin talks a lot about, it's like people, we just saw it last night on the stage, as soon as the artist comes out, all the phones go up, and it's about, capturing that. And so if you do just have an artist on stage and just some lighting, it's like, that's great. But it's like, you kind of want that visual splendor and visual experience, because that will create that kind of Instagram sort of moment or that social moment.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the TV industry, first of all, and, what you're doing around, like you say, Mandalorian and similar productions like that. That's fairly straightforward. And I think people, obviously see the benefit. But when it comes to experiential work for TV producers, whether they be documentary producers or drama producers who have just been used to creating shows for the likes of Netflix and Amazon Prime or BBC, they now have the opportunity with this new technology to perhaps use some of the content that they've shot over the years to create really immersive experiences, because we're seeing, with the growth of social media, real fandoms building around IP. So for example, Stranger Things is one of those. But lots of these big budget IP, they're really ripe for taking into the real world, aren't they? And bringing those fandoms in. What's the difference between being able to shoot a great documentary and being able to create a great experience?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think, the big difference is, for a great documentary or a great piece of content, it's a linear experience. You've got a story, you've got a through line, but it is a linear procession of images, of frames, and that's kind of what that storytelling device is. When you bring it into experience, you give people agency. You don't know where they're going to walk. You don't know what they're going to look at. So it becomes a very different design challenge. It's experience design as opposed to creative production or content production or narrative script writing. So you still require certain things. So and this is why we're seeing this kind of IP transformation across these different touch points. Like the old school sort of word was, transmedia. It's kind of coming back. But, people want to, if people are really rabid about a kind of amazing IP like Stranger Things, people want to experience it in different places. They want to go and see the TV series, but they also they can get the chance to go and see a theatre production, or they can go to an immersive experience. But they are really different. You do need different teams and different ways of designing them, because they are a different medium. And I think when you don't have the right people doing the right sort of types of touch points, then I think that's problematic. Because I think the world is the same. So the narrative, as in like the overarching kind of story world is the same. But then it's like, okay, what's going to work? How do you bring someone through an experience? What's that design? There's kind of this idea of spatial design, immersive theater design have done it really well. The likes of Punch Drunk have sort of really understood how you bring an audience through, and you don't necessarily signpost. It's not like you're on rails. You can go there, you can go anywhere, and you design it. And actually it's bringing in elements of game design that really make it, because they've been doing it for many years. You create a level and you design that level to make sure that it's exciting, it's engaging, there's puzzles, there's things to solve, and there's ways to go through it. So it's pulling across those different sort of disciplines to do these things while still you still need that good narrative. You still need that balance as well. So if you just had too much on the experience design without any story, then it's going to be pretty weak. And early games are a bit like that, because, the reason why sort of many games didn't translate to Hollywood or vice versa was because people wouldn't put enough in the story. It took a long time for games to really develop really cinematic quality kind of storytelling. And it's happened with Last of Us, which, interesting enough, then went from game to TV series. So I think you still need that balance of great writing and great story and great world creation. But you then need specific teams and specific types of discipline to really design for it, because it is just a fundamental different things. And, setting up a frame shot, flat image, to creating an experience where hundreds of people are going to walk through it in a day.
And are you creating content for the metaverse yet? I mean, how's the metaverse? What opportunities does the metaverse present for you as an experiential creator and software developer, etc.?
Yeah, so the way that our software works and has always worked is it creates a digital twin of the real world anyway. So if it is a huge curved volume or an amazing complex stage like a Glastonbury or Coachella where you've got multiple screens, the way the software works is we create a 3D model of that, and everything is pixel perfect, as in you can zoom into each individual dot pixel on the LED. So that's already kind of there. And so what we're seeing is obviously people want to be in the live show. They want to be experiencing it more than ever, but not everyone can go to Taylor Swift and get a ticket to the latest gig. So this idea of virtualizing that experience is kind of attractive. It's not to replace it, but it's to sort of augment it. And so we feel like, we've been playing around with like, well, what are the steps to create, extended sort of reality experiences on top of the platform? If we have the 3D model and we have all the live data coming in from the performer and the visual material, then it's a natural step to kind of build out into that virtual space. So we're experimenting with partners, one of them being Snap, and I'm in conversations with lots of others to sort of see how we can be that bridge, that amazing bridge between the physical and the virtual.
And what do you think the Apple Vision Pro will bring to this sector when that actually launches? I mean, it has launched in the US.
Yeah.
And it's coming to the UK, I think, later in 2024 and many other territories around the world. How do you see that changing? Will it change the game? Just one device, do you think?
I think it has every chance to, because they're just absolutely brilliant and perfect the user experience. They just waited and waited and waited. It's been in development for over 7-8 years. They just waited until there was a user experience it's still not the finished article by any stretch. It's very expensive. It's a bit heavy. It's not true AR, as in it's a technical pass-through. So it's video cameras. It's a closed headset. And the video cameras capture the real world, and then it's a composite of the AR elements over it that trick you into thinking that you're seeing reality. But as a result of that, it's the best experience you can get, because the other companies that were looking at, AR through sort of, clear lenses like Magic Leap, the experience just wasn't very good, because the quality of the images, it was amazing technology, but the holographic images were just a bit washed out. There was quite, difficult sort of field of view issues. And they didn't have the ecosystem of Apple. Apple has, millions of developers. It's got a thriving ecosystem, enterprise back-end platform. So it can just work. It can just plug in, and the ease of use of doing it. It's not like some of the old headsets where, you had this real problem of kind of like every time you put it on, it was sort of a boot up and a startup. And Meta have tried their best to kind of build that out, but that's not been their backdrop. Meta's and software has not been an amazing social network, but not a platform for sort of, social software development. So, and I think what's been lacking with sort of metaverse, and one of the reasons for it stalling to a certain extent, was the whole promise of the metaverse is it's a sort of the digital and the physical merging. And the thing with the physical world is it's 3D. We see in 3D. We operate in 3D. You don't operate just in this flat sort of, Black Mirror-esque scenario. but it didn't have an interface. We didn't have a device that could unlock that. And the idea behind and why Tim Cook and Apple are coining the term spatial computing is because it is this next step of what they want, from personal computing to mobile computing to spatial computing. And it becomes this ability to map digital to, in a 3D space in real time and start to sort of, play around with that concept of spatial computing.
There's been lots of talk at South by Southwest about the Apple Vision Pro and how that might lean into Apple TV. And Apple did brilliantly with music, create that store, a market basically. It's creating its own market. Do you see that into VR or certainly immersive experiences, for example? I mean, we talked about Stranger Things as an example, but if there was a Stranger Things experiential film that you could download on your device, then surely that makes complete sense. And I know Disney are a partner with them as well. So you can imagine there's going to be really some fantastic content. Is that how you see it developing? Do you think there might be a market now for filmmakers specifically in the experiential world as a result of the new Apple headset?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's interesting what they've done. I mean, Apple is interesting as much as they've signed the MLS deal. There was a rumor they were going to do F1. And so, they can really see the benefit of, extending these experiences. So you've got the linear broadcast and it's like, okay, what can you do with this headset where we saw one of the demos where you're sitting courtside at the Lakers game. You can't get those tickets, unless you're, pretty wealthy or the right people. And that experience was, it was just film. It was filmed with their sort of spatial vision technology. So it's kind of 2.5D effect. But, the effect is amazing. It feels like you are there and it's an experience you can't get any other way. And that's just straight filming. So there's that element of it, which creates an experience where you can't get that any other way. You can watch it on the TV, but actually that's a better experience than even watching it on a 60, 90-inch television because it feels like you're there and you're there in these seats. And it's like, okay, that's really interesting. I think when you go further with that, you could start to see the experiences. And what you could see is that the experience you create, the physical pop-up experience you create, if done correctly and done with an eye to the fact that it's going to go to a virtual platform like the Vision Pro, you could then create that and digitize that almost to create that because only X amount of people are in LA or New York or however many pop-up cities they do. And so in the future, when there's a lot more of these kind of headsets, it feels like, you can then roll that out to many more people. So you still have both. You have like the physical activation because people still like the real world. That's still going to happen. I think a lot of people think, is this just going to replace everything? It's not going to replace it. It's going to augment it. But it is, I think, what's interesting is this sort of virtualization of experience. It's this idea that, what did the internet and sort of flat, interfaces, they digitize things like, videos, whether it's streaming or reading. Experiences haven't been able to be digitized because it's a flat screen. So it's like, that's not a great experience. Having this headset sort of technology is potentially going to have the ability to, it's like virtual tourism. And, a lot of people might go, well, that's pretty rubbish. I actually want to go to the place, but the world's getting a bit fuller. It's getting harder to travel. Actually going to these locations is sort of just destroying them to a certain extent. So that ability to experience them through kind of a headset is an interesting component to this as well.
And you mentioned like the Taylor Swift. You can imagine that Taylor Swift rolls into London. She can only sell whatever 200,000, or people can only buy 200,000 tickets. But if that show was streamed live on headsets and creating that sort of experience live, then that adds another element. Yeah. You can see people would pay for that, right?
Definitely.
So how about content creation for you then? Are you creating your own content? I mean, you're talking about software development and the ability to construct these experiences. What about content creation for you? Is that something that you do?
Yeah. So, I mean, interestingly enough, where Disguise it originally started was with a company called, or it was part of a company called United Visual Artists. And so they were the creative company. And actually the technology came out of the creative need. And so the platform was born out of that. Over the years, we parted company and we just became the technical platform. But increasingly, with these huge screens and these shows, we were realizing there was a kind of content gap. And even working with our amazing partners, we sort of needed to create content ourselves, but that's not what the business was. So we bought an amazing company in Atlanta called MetaK and another company called Polygon Labs. more on the broadcast side, and they had amazing Unreal Engine teams. And so we've now got a really sort of amazing kind of growing virtual art department team that can span from sort of broadcast graphics all the way to really high-end cinematic graphics. And we've already been doing that down in one of our, outposts in New Zealand for a lot of the big shows down there. So our Flag Means Death, we did a lot of the virtual art department for that and run the volume. And a soon to be released update of Time Bandits was one that we kind of worked on and helped sort of, put all that together and run the sort of virtual production set. So yeah, content's a really, a growing kind of need, because more and more people are kind of going, well, I've invested in all this technology, this platform, this LED, and it's luckily it's not becoming the afterthought it once was. Once upon a time, it was like, okay, I've got all this stuff, great. And then it's like, well, what's going on the screen? And when the screen is the side of a building or is the building, content is the architecture. Content is everything. And that's a pretty big overhead. And so you've got to factor that into the investment. But if you want to do that wow and attractive, thing to pull people in, then yeah, it's got to be content. And there's different ways of doing it. It doesn't have to be all 3D real time. There's amazing real time software like Notch, which is an amazing sort of, ability to do live real time things, or just 2D sort of, great video design and such like. But that content need is ever increasing now.
And so what's next for Disguise then? Once you get home from South by Southwest, what's the next big project that you can talk about?
I think internally what we're just trying to build out is an even better user experience for, our community and our growing kind of, base of partners. It is still, some of this technology is seriously advanced, and we want to try and make that as simplified as possible. Like, there's a significant complexity, and some partners, it's fine. That's that. They've got the team to do it. They've got an unbelievably sort of strong AV or digital team or broadcast team or live events team to run it. But invariably, we want to democratize it more and bring it to more people. And so by doing that, we need to make it easier to use, still to maintain the significant power of it, but make sure that it's easier to run day to day. The content pipelines are really, really powerful. So the content can just come in and they can just shoot what they want or deliver what they want.
Yeah, well, it's a really interesting time, I think. And we're only going to see this speed up, this technology, and we're all going to be enjoying it. So thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Been a pleasure. Thanks.
So my next guest on this week's South by Southwest special is Ed Lindemann, Head of Entertainment for the UK for TikTok. Ed, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, happy to be here.
Good. Well, over the jet lag, are you?
I'm getting there. Yeah. I think the kind of the Texas energy, the cowboy energy is like, keeps me excited. So yeah, it's helping.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a buzzing event. So great to see TikTok here. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, the developments at TikTok recently, because I've seen certain things in the news about the BBC Creator Lab, and tell us about that.
So I think we always want to try and help creators to develop, whether that's within the platform or kind of like outside the platform, because for us, when creators are able to grow their kind of personal brand by creating great videos on the platform, we always love to see them kind of like succeed outside the app as well. So the BBC Creator Lab is a project that we've worked on with the BBC, where we ran 5 workshops around the UK. So in Glasgow, Salford in Manchester, London, Cardiff, and Belfast. And at each lab, there was 20 TikTok creators, which had to basically apply, and then they were screened and then selected by the BBC. So they went to the labs for 2 days, and over that kind of 2-day period, they had some quite like intense training where they would learn all the kind of the skills that they would need to start a career in broadcasting. So media training, they would learn how to like develop and importantly pitch like an idea for maybe a TV show to a commissioner, and BBC were amazing. They brought in like actual commissioners, like really senior kind of execs that would hear these pitches and consider actually whether or not they would want to like commission them. So over that kind of 2-day period, they went from maybe having like no experience of working in more like traditional media to hopefully at a point where they feel confident and comfortable in front of a camera, maybe talking to journalists, and have actually spent time like speaking to commissioners at the BBC. And some of them will go on to be commissioned to do work for the BBC. Yeah, we're really excited to see some of those creators actually start working for the BBC as well.
That's great. And so is that BBC Studios? Does that mean there'll be BBC Studios might commission them to do original content?
So we partnered with the public service side, but yeah, BBC Studios have a division called Talent Works, and they help to deliver that because they're really the experts in how to develop talent at the BBC sort of throughout their journey. So see this for most of the creators, that was the first time they'd kind of done anything related to TV. I should say also each lab was focused on a particular subject area. So we had sport, we had food, we had entertainment, we had children's, and we had nature. So they were kind of selected based on the fact that they were creating content in this area.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So tell us about all the latest tools as well. You talked about tools and various different activity to support TikTok creators.
Yeah.
What about actually on the platform itself? What are we seeing that TikTok is doing to enable people to monetize their content better?
Yeah, I think on the content creation side, I think where we've been really successful and we're really strong in terms of our product is just constantly lowering the barrier to creating great content. And we do that through a number of different product features in the video editing suite. We have a thing called Effect House where you can kind of create your own effects using augmented reality, place them on the platform, and then people can create content with them. Music, of course, is still really massive. So that's on the content creation side. But let's say once the video has been made, in terms of monetization within TikTok, we have our live tool, so creators can monetize through live gifting. We have our e-commerce platform, so that's called TikTok Shop, and that's when basically a business will list products and then creators can sell them as an affiliate and earn commission. And then we also have the Creator Rewards program, which is a direct monetization model, which will pay creators a set kind of fee based on how many video views they drive. And that the videos that are eligible for that are over 1 minute. So we're really kind of encouraging creators to think about creating longer form content. I wouldn't describe it really as long form, but longer form than maybe the 15 or 30 second videos they've been focusing on previously.
So what is the maximum length now of a TikTok video? Because I know that it's starting to get...
Yeah, so for most users, it varies from market to market. For most users, it will be up to 10 minutes. Some users will be able to post up to 30 minutes via desktop. So yeah, can be quite long now.
Right. Okay. And is that really the future, do you think, for TikTok, is longer form content and making people sit on the platform for a little bit longer?
I mean, I'm not the product manager, so I can't say for certain. But my feeling is that short video is still where the real high demand is, and in vertical format. So I don't think most people's experience of TikTok will change. I don't think people will be watching horizontally that much. I don't think people will be watching loads of 30-minute videos on the app. But I do think we might start to see a trend of finding some longer videos, and people seem to be enjoying that. And another functionality that's really, really popular at the moment is search. And I think it's been covered quite a lot in the press, but lots of TikTok users want to be very intentional with the content that they're consuming. Yes, they can obviously go into the view page and the platform will recommend videos to them. But we're here in Austin. Before I jumped on the flight to come over here, I wanted to find the best things to do in Austin. And so I go on TikTok and I search that because actually, yes, of course, I can use Google or other search engines and there's plenty of great information there. But if I want it in a video format, which is probably the most convenient for me to consume, TikTok's the place to do that. So I think search kind of really leans into that slightly longer format because if you're looking for something specific, like recommendations for Austin, probably that video is going to be more than, let's say, 15 seconds, right? It might be a minute or two.
So top 10 bars or something to
exactly.
visit.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about looking forward to 2024 and the rest of the year? What are the key developments that we can expect to see from TikTok, do you think?
I think kind of big focus will still be on helping creators to build their career like we were talking about at the start. So combining those opportunities with partners like the BBC to help them to make that first step into broadcasting. But that's not right for every single creator, right? Many creators will be really happy with just creating content for the internet because that's what they feel most comfortable with. And for those creators, things like live monetization, e-commerce, affiliate monetization, and like direct longer form video monetization will probably be, continue to be our like big focuses.
It's interesting your Creator Lab actually, because I think it's the latest development of TV and social media platforms just starting to partner together in a much more meaningful way. I mean, we've obviously seen lots of content going on coming from social media, you know, whether it be the Sidemen going on to Netflix, or we're expecting Mr. Beast to announce his SVOD deal fairly quickly as well. So it's interesting that this kind of convergence or partnership. I mean, do you expect to see more of that in the future?
I hope so. I think this first program that we've run with the BBC around Creator Lab, it's been really successful. I think the feedback we've had from creators is great. And we would hope to see more opportunities like that for creators. I think the entertainment industry, TV, radio, but even like acting, is notoriously difficult to get into. And often some of the barriers to entry are due to even education. You know, not everyone can afford to go to like a top drama school. You don't have to be educated at a drama school to be in the next Avengers movie, but probably a lot of the people who do get to the top have had that kind of those opportunities. What is great about TikTok is that the only real barrier to entry is having a smartphone, and then it just comes down to like how creative can you be when you're making videos, and how committed are you to doing that. We've seen that the creators, you know, the 100 creators that attended this program, obviously all have smartphones, but they're all really creative and they're all really committed. They put in the time and the energy to build their profile through TikTok. That's not to say that some of them might not have had those like opportunities, but I think what's really exciting is now those like big media groups like the BBC, for example, can really kind of find that new pipeline of talent through social platforms, and not just, that person like made one good video, but you can actually go through their TikTok profile, and it's really like a creative CV, right? You can watch all their videos and be like, actually, this person really seems like they could fit in this show. And, you know, the other things that we know about being successful in the media industry is, you've got to be creative and you've got to be committed. So they've proved that as well.
So South by Southwest, is this your first?
Yeah, my first time here, yeah.
Okay. And what are you here to do? I know you're on a panel.
Yeah,
right?
So we have a panel. We're talking about BBC Creator Lab with the BBC. So Fiona Campbell, who's the head of youth audience, is there, is joining us. We've also got one of the creators, Stella, who went through the program. So she'll be talking about her experience. So really looking forward to that. That is on Friday. And then, for me, it's just like soaking up South by Southwest. I think there's so much on offer. I think that, we were talking before about some of the buzzwords like the creator economy, artificial intelligence, like these kind of trends that we're starting to see in our industry and like, let's say the wider internet space. So keen to learn a bit more about them and just also like networking with people in the industry. And I love like cowboy culture as well. So being here in Texas is just like the best thing.
You've got it all here.
Yeah, I'm delighted to be here. Yeah.
And we've seen some TikTok creator meetups actually that have been happening. And there's a lot of content creators here.
Yeah, I think content creators, I talked about some of those attributes, really committed, hardworking, creative. So when TikTok creators meet other creators, we see it almost all the events we do. Often they don't know each other, but they just bond so fast because they've got so much in common, so much to talk about. And one of the things they love to do when they're bonding is make videos. So that's great. And I think it's fab to see so many creators who have just built like really good friendships and stuff through using the platform and networking like that. So super.
Well, great to see you, Ed. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
All right. I'll see you down the saloon later.
Yeah. I'm probably back in London with less sunshine and less cowboy hats, sadly.
Yeah. Thanks, Ed. My next guest on this week's South by Southwest special is KJ Kim from MetaK. How are you doing, KJ?
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm KJ, who is the CEO of Studio MetaK. Thank you for inviting me today as a speaker. I really enjoy this show.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to speaking to you about your virtual influencers. It's an area that I find fascinating. So first of all, tell us about MetaK, your business. Tell us about your business first.
Yeah, I founded this company just 2 years ago in 2022. My background was like VFX. I had a company in San Francisco from 2000 to 2013. And I was focused on some virtual humans in the movies. Like our company actually have many different divisions. The first one is the drama division. Actually, as you know, the K-wave and K-drama is very popular these days. So we have our in-house famous K-drama director, writer, and technical engineers. But at the same time, I think like our studio MetaK is a high-tech based content company. So we are focused on the content and technology together.
Right. Okay. So do you produce regular TV shows? Or
yes. So we do some like broadcasting TV show. We actually like a pre-production for the K-drama right now.
Right.
Also, so we are also planning to have some variety show too.
Yeah. So I came across your stand at South by Southwest. I found it fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's this whole world of virtual influencers,
Yes.
which is a market that you're going into. Tell us about what a virtual influencer is, first of all.
Yeah, like there are so many virtual influencers made by the AI these days. Maybe I think you already saw the OpenAI Sora. I think the AI is amazing right now. But we used to using our regular VFX technology first. So we made we are making actually 4 different virtual artists. But other company called the humans, but we call the virtual artists.
Virtual artists. Okay.
Yeah, because what's difference is they are more focused on the technology. They're making only just a virtual human just like you. But we making the virtual human as your artist, like a real human.
Yeah.
Real human artist. So they will sing a song. They will be in the film and drama. And they even reading the book also. They dance. That's what we're looking for there.
So it's a multi-platform, multi-talented virtual artist that you're creating.
Yes.
All right. So how big is the market in South Korea for virtual influencers?
I think as you know, we don't have many population in Korea. So size is not that big. But there was one virtual human in 2 years ago. Name is Roji. That was very popular. She made a lot of money from the commercial and some branding. But after her, I think there are more than 200 virtual humans already in Korea. More than that. But they are only focused on the technology. They are just post some pictures on the Instagram. That's all what they're doing right now. But our case is different. Our first virtual artist, already appeared in some film and drama and the TV show, and she will be debut. She is scheduled to be debut in April, have a digital single album and music video, some other activities.
Okay, so you're launching the music career first of all?
First.
All right, okay. And so it's first of all music, but you're planning to go into film and you're going to potentially advertising and
actually
brand.
She already was in some films. It's already, we set some for international film festival already.
Right.
But it will be released in end of this year.
Okay. And how are you using AI then in character development? Because you've got, you're mapping out a almost perfect human.
Thank you.
Digital and virtual artist. So first of all, how are you using AI then to develop
AI,
that character?
we are using all different field, from the beginning, planning, when you have some concept, we can have some maybe ChatGPT ask them what kind of personality they want, what kind of look they want, what generation like it, something like that. We're using it in the beginning, in the planning first. But development, we used to have some a volumetric capture or 3D animation technology. It costs a lot. Even just making some basic model, it takes more than $200,000.
Right.
But these days, you can take the photo or images and transform to the 3D file using the AI. Also, if you see our Instagram, there are many like location and many different like style of pictures, but we made everything is by the AI with the text. We didn't go to shoot, we didn't edit, but we just made by AI.
Text to video, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Generative AI these days.
Yes. Okay. And so the character development is such that obviously you don't have the pitfalls of real humans getting into trouble with bad behavior or trouble with the police or whatever that might be. I suppose that's one of the benefits for you is that you can control this virtual artist to not misbehave.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, like, as you know, like these days, like ChatGPT, like LMM, like a base developed a lot. So actually, we already made our 3D chatbot already. Okay. Maybe I can show you later. But if you ask her, like, what kind of food do you like? What's your name? And what are you going to do? She can answer.
Right. Okay. And so the base data that the AI is using is basically data that you've inputted.
At this time, we put it in all the information, but later on, she can actually develop by herself.
Okay. So, and Instagram, is that the main social channel that
I mean, like,
can interact with?
I told you, like, we have an official debut in April. So actually, we didn't release anything yet. So for just the South by Southwest, we just had I had a speech yesterday at the next stage about our virtual human debut.
Yeah.
So maybe you can check this out after maybe April. But our Instagram is first, but we will have a TikTok and YouTube, and she will be in our films and drama and commercial too.
And this is going to be focused purely in South Korea to begin with, is that right?
But the beginning is South Korea, but our first two virtual human AI is actually targeting on the Japanese market. Actually, her style is more like a Japanese music style, and her look like a. So at the booth at the South by Southwest, I met many Japanese people. They love it. So I think we will go to using the AI. Actually, we can translate the AI voice to the Japanese. So I think the second one is Japanese, but I mean, like, as you know, the Asian market is not that big. So I think we should definitely go to the international market.
Yeah. And so tell us about the business model then for your virtual artists, because you're going to roll out 4 of them.
Yes.
And they're specific to the seasons of the year, aren't they? First of all, tell us the thinking behind rolling out 4 influencers that are based on each season of the...
Like first, we were thinking about just making one virtual human at the first time 2 years ago. But later, I think we thought about we might need 4 different characters, even looks. So we thought about what kind of groups we should make. So we called the AI Virtual Artist Group Season. So first virtual artist is presenting spring.
Yeah.
And the Subi is representing the summer, and Brown is representing the fall and autumn, and Han is representing the winter. So we have a planning for the year in April, and the Subi in July, and the Brown in September, and the Han in December. They will release their album first, but next year in 2025, they will have a duo and trio quartet. Also, they have individual activities like celeb, like a sports, like a celeb, and one for teaching the English or something like that. Many different platforms, many different like activities they will have.
Okay, so and all of that will be AI generated as well.
Yes.
So, for example, I mean, you just mentioned about speaking English.
Yes.
You know, if one of your virtual characters could sell courses to speak English, is that what you're suggesting?
Actually, we already tested it, and we already have an English song, but nobody sing the song in English version, but AI made it.
Right.
They learned the voice tone from the Korean one, and then they generate the English version already.
Right. Okay. And what AI tools are you using then?
But I think there are so many AI tools. I think a Korean company like us, like a small company, is not going to have our own technology, like open source. We are using the open source like from the big tech company in United States or in England. But I think like the thing is like our benefit, our like advantage is that we are very using all different type of tools together. Like as you know, Photoshop, if someone using it like a middle school student, the quality is not that high. But professional photographer using it, they looks great. So I think AI tool, we using the open source, but I mean like we utilizing together.
Okay. And how are you planning to expand internationally then? Because you're focusing on, you said Japan and South Korea is where you can start. I mean, how do you see this rolling out across?
I think there are one famous virtual human in United States, Lee McKellen. I think you may know about it. Also one famous one, in Japan. They have more than a couple hundred followers and they make tons of money. The thing is like for the good thing for the like virtual humans, if you have a real artist, if you are the management company, you have to divide or you have to share the money you make. But for the virtual artist, our company own all the money.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Also in Korea, they are very focused on their history. Like if a seller has any a crime record or any problem, they have a really serious problem. But as you know, virtual human don't have any history and no crime record. So it's very good for us. For the international market, we already went to the Sweden, Stockholm in September and London in October and December in Japan and this time in the United States. I think we got many job offer actually working collaboration offer at the South by Southwest from the Brazil fashion company and Denmark and Dubai. So I think we will keep communicating with them and then we will have a more work together.
When it comes to image rights, so you're actually scanning the body of a model, but actually creating your own face, essentially. So there's no image right issues that you're dealing with the original artists.
Yeah. Also, as you mentioned that we are actually using the 3D volumetric technology, but I think in Korea there are many virtual human company. They are only using the deepfake. Deepfake is more like a 2D space, like pictures. They don't have a 3D models. Then it means if you are using them for the Metaverse platform, they require 3D file. So we are the kind of only company we can have our virtual character in the Metaverse platforms. That's the one of big thing.
Okay, so you're saying Metaverse is a big opportunity for you as well?
Yes, like Roblox, maybe we will be there and collaborate with some a client or play with them. That's the big thing because deepfake company, they only have a 2D space, so they cannot be in the Metaverse platform.
All right, so it's all about 3D.
Yeah.
KJ, thank you so much for joining me. It's been really fascinating and seeing your new virtual artists. I wish you all the best with it. Good luck.
Thank you so much. I will look forward to hear anything from you or some other client. Just follow our Instagram account. I will see you soon.
All right.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
KJ.
Thank you.
Well, that's about it from this week's TellyCast. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with another show exploring the business of the TV industry next week. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube or any of your podcast platforms. You can find a link in the episode description or just search TellyCast TV on YouTube and hit subscribe. We'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe.